Bonjour tout le monde, merci d'être venu. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, 1 sur 4 Canadiens manquent des repas et 1 sur 2 coupent leurs épiceries parce qu'ils ne peuvent pas payer les factures des épiceries. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, il y a des gens qui vont aux banques alimentaires, non pas pour manger, mais pour chercher l'aide médicale à mourir. Pas parce qu'ils sont malades, mais parce qu'ils ont faim et misérables. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, les coûts de logement ont doublé. Le loyer a doublé. Les paiements hypothécaires ont doublé. Et les maisons, le prix des maisons ont doublé. Ça fait en sorte que 9 sur 10 jeunes qui n'ont pas une maison croient qu'ils ne vont jamais en avoir une. Donc, on a des étudiants qui vivent dans les centres d'hébergement parce qu'il y a un manque de logement. Il y a des sans-abri, des gens qui souffrent avec la santé mentale plus que jamais après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Ça a causé la crise des drogues qui a tué 30 000 personnes depuis l'arrivée en pouvoir de Justin Trudeau. Le taux de criminalité a augmenté de 32 % depuis 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Tout semble être brisé. Les gens sont en train de souffrir ici au Canada, après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Mais au lieu de prendre la responsabilité pour la souffrance qu'il a causée, Justin Trudeau essaie de diviser pour distraire. Il essaie d'éviter la responsabilité en faisant peur d'un Canadien contre l'autre. Il croit que si vous avez peur de votre voisin, vous allez oublier que vous ne pouvez pas payer vos factures. Que si vous avez peur d'un camionneur, vous allez oublier que vous avez faim après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Mais croyez-moi, ce n'est pas moi qui dis ça. C'est le député libéral Joel Lightbound. Et je cite, il a dit ça envers le premier ministre. Arrêtez de diviser les Canadiens. Cessez de dresser une partie de la population contre une autre. Je ne peux pas m'empêcher de constater, avec regret, que le ton et les politiques de mon gouvernement ont radicalement changé à la veille et au cours de la dernière élection. D'une approche positive et unificatrice, on est passé à une décision de coincer, de diviser et de stigmatiser. Je crains que cette polarisation de la pandémie ne risque de saper la confiance du public dans nos institutions de santé publique. Ce n'est pas un risque que nous devons prendre à la légère. Il est temps d'en finir avec les divisions et les distractions. Fin de citation. Les mots d'un député libéral. Bill Morneau, l'ancien ministre des Finances de Justin Trudeau, a dit que le premier ministre a utilisé l'enjeu des vaccins pour diviser les gens pendant les campagnes électorales. En faisant cette division, Justin Trudeau a causé l'urgence qu'on a vue à Ottawa. C'était lui qui a causé un problème et une manifestation qui n'était pas nécessaire. Encore, le rapport de la commission Rouleau a dit que les commentaires les insultes que Justin Trudeau a versées envers la population ont servi à et je cite, à énergiser les manifestants, à durcir leur détermination et à les rendre encore plus aigres envers les autorités gouvernementales. Le premier ministre adjoint Chrystia Freeland a dit que la COVID était une opportunité politique. Et c'est vrai. Et Justin Trudeau l'a utilisé ainsi. C'est malheureux. Moi, je prendrais une autre approche. Je vais unir les gens. Je vais écouter leurs histoires et essayer de comprendre la peine qu'ils souffrent. Au lieu d'attaquer les gens qui sont en souffrance, pourquoi pas nous adresser à leurs problèmes? Moi, je vais éliminer la taxe carbone pour rendre l'essence et les épiceries plus abordables. Je vais contrôler les dépenses pour éliminer l'inflation que le gouvernement a causée pour que les gens puissent manger et payer le coût de logement. On va bâtir davantage de maisons pour que nos jeunes aient une place à vivre. Et quand il y a une crise de santé, on va écouter toutes les voix et permettre le maximum de liberté personnelle dans les choix de santé personnelle. C'est comme ça qu'on peut éviter ces genres de crises qu'a causé Justin Trudeau. Parlant des crises, aujourd'hui, on apprend que nos services de renseignement ont averti le gouvernement pendant les années d'une ingérence d'un gouvernement étranger et autoritaire. Justin Trudeau dit qu'il n'était pas au courant que nos services de renseignement ont rédigé l'un rapport après l'autre et qu'ils ont partagé ces informations avec d'autres gouvernements alliés comme la Grande-Bretagne, l'Australie, la Nouvelle-Zélande, les États-Unis, mais sans avoir informé le premier ministre. Il dit n'a pas jamais eu l'occasion de savoir. C'est pas vrai. Justin Trudeau était au courant de cette ingérence. Et il a accepté parce que l'ingérence était dans sa faveur. Il est en faveur d'une ingérence des autres gouvernements de l'étranger parce que ça l'aide dans les campagnes électorales. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle il n'a absolument rien fait pour combattre l'ingérence des autres pays dans notre démocratie, notre économie et envers notre population. Le peuple chinois sont des amis. Les Canadiens d'origine chinoise sont parmi les plus patriotiques, travaillants et honnêtes. Mais l'ingérence par Beijing et le gouvernement est inacceptable et nous devons prendre les actions concrètes pour l'empêcher et pour protéger la souveraineté de notre pays. Et c'est le gros bon sens. Il faut ramener le gros bon sens chez nous. Thank you. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, cost of housing has doubled. Cost of mortgage payments, rent, and home prices have doubled, which means 9 out of 10 young people who don't own a home believe they never will. Think what that does to someone's psychology. You're 30 years old, you're in your parents' basement, you can't start a family, you can't save for your future, you can't build credit or collateral. And worse, based on today's high interest rates and rising costs, you calculate that you never will. So you lose hope. Worse, many homeowners are losing their houses because interest rates are going up after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, despite the fact that his government said they would stay low for long. So those people lose their homes, end on the street, and addicted to drugs. And after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, 30,000 people have died of drug overdoses. Crime rages as more and more violent acts go unpunished, with a 32% increase in violent crime after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Meanwhile, 1 in 4 Canadians skip meals, and 1 in 2 cut back on groceries because food prices have gone up so fast under Justin Trudeau and his carbon tax. People are walking into food banks, asking help with medical assistance and dying, not because they're sick, but because they're hungry and miserable after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Veterans who go seek help are told by their own government they should consider getting medical assistance and dying instead of getting the service they deserve. And finally, the government says that all those people suffering from mental health, understandably, with how badly things are going, the government says they should use medical assistance in the dying. This is the hopeless state that Justin Trudeau has created. In Canada today, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything feels broken. But instead of fixing those things, or at least taking responsibility for breaking them, the Prime Minister seeks to divide and distract. See, he thinks that if you're afraid of your neighbor, you'll forget that you can't pay your rent. If you're afraid of a trucker, you might forget that you're hungry and take your eyes off of the guy who caused the problem in the first place. Now, don't take my word for it. This is what a Liberal MP said when he commented on the Prime Minister's conduct. Stop dividing Canadians. And I'm quoting, stop dividing Canadians. To stop pitting one part of the population against another. I can't help but notice, with regret, that both the tone and the policies of my government changed drastically on the eve of and during the last election, from a positive and unifying tone to a decision was made to wedge, to divide, and to stigmatize. I fear that this politicization of the pandemic risks undermining public trust in our public health institutions. This is not a risk that we should take lightly. It's time to stop the division and the distraction. End quote. The Prime Minister's own Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, said that COVID was a political opportunity. And his former Finance Minister, Bill Bourneau, says that the Prime Minister used vaccines as a wedge issue to divide people. And thus, a lot of people were so helpless and so desperate, they ended up participating in a protest in Ottawa. This was an emergency that Justin Trudeau created by attacking his own population, by driving up their cost of living, by making it impossible for people to pay their bills and live their lives in peace. He caused the emergency that unfolded. And then when he caused it, he piled on, he poured more gasoline on the fire with nasty insults, jabbing his finger in the faces of his own citizens, something that even today's report acknowledged contributed to the length and the intensity of the protest. Everything feels broken in Canada, but we can fix it. As Prime Minister, I'll bring people together. I'll listen to their concerns and understand the suffering that they experience. In fact, I'll reverse the policies that caused that suffering in the first place by eliminating the carbon tax so that we can bring down heat, gas, and grocery bills, by clearing away the bureaucratic gatekeepers to build more homes so our young people have a place to live. I'll get off the backs and out of the way of our First Nations people so that they can supply themselves with a good quality of life. In other words, instead of divide and conquer, we'll unite for hope in this country. It's common sense. Now let's bring it home. Thank you.
I'll open the floor for questions. We have time for 5 questions.
Thanks, Carrie Tate from the Globe and Mail. I'm wondering if the story in today's Globe and Mail about China and the last election, whether that demonstrates the need for a foreign agent registry to track, monitor, influence on behalf of other countries.
First of all, with regards to the Globe story, it's clear that Justin Trudeau has been covering up the interference of the authoritarian regime in Beijing. He claims he never knew anything about it. But is it really believable? Is it really believable that our foreign intel, is it really believable that CSIS would write an entire report and share it with foreign governments without actually telling our own Prime Minister? Is it really believable that the many reports that have been written over the last 4 years about this, that have now come to light in newspapers because they've been leaked by courageous whistleblowers inside our intelligence apparatus, never were brought before the Prime Minister of Canada? Of course that is not believable. Justin Trudeau knew about this interference, and he covered it up because he benefited from it. He is perfectly happy to let a foreign authoritarian government interfere in our elections as long as they're helping him. And according to the Globe and Mail story today, this foreign authoritarian government wanted to see Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister because they knew that he would work for their interests rather than Canada's interest. And that's why he's covered up this information for so long. As to your specific question, I believe we need a public registry of all those who do paid work on behalf of foreign authoritarian regimes to influence or manipulate our politics or government. Thank you.
Hi there, Josh McLean, CBC News. And if you don't mind responding in English.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. If you want me to write it in French?
In English and French, please.
English, sure.
Justice Rouleau said that he did not accept the organizers' descriptions of the protest as lawful, calm, peaceful, or something resembling a celebration. He wrote that the bigger picture reveals the situation in Ottawa was unsafe and chaotic. Justice Rouleau also found that the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act was justified. Do you accept Justice Rouleau's findings, and do you regret endorsing the Freedom Convoy?
Well, first of all, your question was typical of CBC, bias again. You forgot to mention what the report said, which is more of an effort should have been made by government leaders at all levels during the protest to acknowledge that the majority of protesters were exercising their fundamental democratic rights. What I said before, during, and after the protest was that I condemn anyone who behaves badly, breaks laws, or blockades critical infrastructure, while standing on the side of the hardworking people who have suffered so much under 8 years of Justin Trudeau and were desperately trying to have their voices heard against an insulting and divisive Prime Minister. And the only reason that we had this emergency is because Justin Trudeau wanted it to happen, because he wanted to distract and divide Canadians from the pain and suffering that he has caused by driving up their cost of living, making it impossible for our youth to own homes, by taxing our working class, and by imposing unnecessary and unscientific rules that brought an end to the livelihoods of countless heroes we needed for our economy. Thank you. Encore une question biaisée de CBC. Je sais que, I should maybe say this in English as well. I know that the president of CBC has launched a campaign against me, and so I can expect that there are going to be a lot of reporters coming to carry out that campaign on her behalf. I think the CBC should act as an unbiased source of news, not a political campaign machine for the Prime Minister. Donc, la question est biaisée. Le journaliste a manqué ce que le rapport a dit, que, et je cite, les responsables gouvernementaux à tous les niveaux auraient dû faire davantage d'efforts pendant les manifestations pour reconnaître que la majorité des manifestants exerçaient leurs droits démocratiques fondamentaux. Évidemment, nous condamnons tous, comme j'avais fait dans le temps, dans l'époque, tous ceux qui ont brisé des lois ou qui se sont mal comportés ou qui ont bloqué de l'infrastructure essentielle. Mais en même temps, il y a beaucoup de monde qui souffre à ce pays. Et au lieu de les diviser, de les stigmatiser, comme a dit le député libéral Joel Lightbaum, il faut unifier les gens et reconnaître la peine qu'ils souffrent. Et c'est comme ça qu'un premier ministre devrait agir, et c'est ce que je vais faire quand je serai Premier ministre. Merci.
Brody Thomas, Post Media. The federal government today announced its interim sustainable jobs plan, previously known as the Just Transition. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on the plan as presented and how a conservative government might approach this differently.
Well, I can tell you, Vladimir Putin is smiling today because as Justin Trudeau drives energy jobs out of Canada, he drives money into the hands of foreign polluting dictatorships. We know because Trudeau has killed most of the LNG projects that were on his desk when he took office. The Europeans have to rely on Putin to heat their homes and feed their industry with gas that we could be supplying cleaner, more ethically, and to the benefit of our First Nations people right here in Canada. Justin Trudeau's approach is hurting our environment by driving jobs, business, and opportunity out and global pollution up. The answer is to develop our resources here in Canada while incentivizing our companies to do so with the lowest possible emissions. That will bring greenhouse gases down and opportunities and jobs up. In other words, this is common sense. It's time to bring home our jobs, bring home our businesses, and bring home our resource development. Let's bring it home.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. Jonathan Bradley, Western Standard. My question for you is, given the release of the Public Order Emergency Commission's report and rising Western alienation, it's clear there is divisions among Canadians. What role has Prime Minister Justin Trudeau played in this division, and how can it be resolved?
He hasn't played a role. He is the division. His purpose is to divide and conquer. He believes that if he can turn Canadians against each other, then they'll forget how miserable life has become after 8 years of his tax hikes, inflation, and out-of-control cost of living. With costs, crime, and corruption raging after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, it's no wonder he wants the focus off him, and he wants Canadians fighting with each other. So you can expect him to continue to divide people by race, region, vaccine status, and any other fault line that he can invent. But instead of divide and distract, what we need to do is unite for hope, to bring people together and tell them that tomorrow can be better than today. Let's just remove all these painful taxes that have driven people into poverty. Let's end the inflationary deficits that send the cost of living up faster than at any time in 40 years. Let's clear the bureaucratic blockades to build millions of new homes so our young people can actually have a roof over their head and not just live in their parents' basements. And let's bring back freedom of speech and freedom of expression so everybody can have a voice again in this big, beautiful, wonderful country of ours. Let's unite our people for hope, and let's bring it home. Thank you.
So it looks like that's all the questions we have. With that, we'll conclude our press conference.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.